Well, you're 19 now, fresh into this union, and they've declared you a proper wife in the eyes of the empire. If congratulations even fit in a moment like this. There's no turning back from it anymore. It's the year 89 in the Common Era, under the stern grip of Emperor Domitian, and your name is Amelia. You came from a solid family, brought up to follow orders without question, shaped to withstand whatever comes your way. And right now, on this very evening, the ancient city is going to lay it all out for you. What being tied in matrimony truly involves. Not the fancy yellow coverings or the nuts thrown for good fortune. Not the forced grins from everyone around. The hidden side. The one nobody bothers to jot down in scrolls or share in polite company. Your toes curl against the icy stone floor, sending shivers right up through your legs. Flames flicker from the holders on the walls, casting long shadows and filling the space with a hazy smoke that clings to everything. There you are, facing a group of 7 people standing like statues, not saying a word. They're not here to add any warmth or good wishes. No, their job is to watch, to make sure you go through with what's demanded of a woman in your position. Up until this point, nobody thought to fill you in on the specifics. Why would they? It's not the kind of talk for daylight hours. You edge closer to this odd wooden thing tucked away in the shadows, covered by a thick fabric that hides its shape. Your fingers shake so much you tuck them away, praying it goes unnoticed. But of course, it doesn't. Nobody steps in to help, though. Echoes of your mother's voice from earlier that day play in your head, her fingers unsteady as she fixed your hair into place. Whatever happens, don't fight it, she said in a hushed tone. Just let it unfold. Now, the pieces are falling together, and you see why her eyes were wet with unshed tears, why she held you a little too tight before letting go. Let me lay it out plain, this empire doesn't do gentle. Wedlock isn't about hearts or dreams. It's a deal struck between families, a shift-in who holds the reins over you. Your father hands you off, your new spouse takes charge. You're the item being passed along. The vows seal the bargain, and your very self becomes the seal of authenticity. This is how you step into grown-up life the Roman way, cold, calculated, and without illusions. From beyond the walls, the sounds of the gathering drift in, rough voices belting out vulgar tunes, bursts of laughter, shouts of advice nobody asked for. They say it's all to chase off bad omens, but you wonder if it's just a cover for men to hurl their crude thoughts at a girl barely out of her teens on the night she's supposed to start her new life. Take your pick on what to believe. Your spouse, Theodore Grant, towers over you by a good 25 years. He lifted you over the entryway earlier, a move that's supposed to show care. It felt more like a claim. A throwback to times when women were hauled in kicking and screaming if need be. The heavy door swings shut, cutting off the outside world. And suddenly everything feels too still, like the air itself is holding its breath. You let your gaze wander the chamber properly now. There's Eleanor, the elder lady in charge of the evening's proceedings. Victor, the holy man standing solemn. Then the 3 servant women, Lydia, Clara, and Beatrice, holding bowls and stacks of linens. Reginald, the healer, lingers off to the side with his satchel of instruments. And there, still shrouded, that mysterious carved piece waits patiently. So many eyes in what should be an intimate space, but nothing about this feels personal. Eleanor takes your wrists with a grip that's firm, almost businesslike, the way you'd handle an animal at market. You're in Theodore's domain now, she states flatly, implying you're part of the furnishings. She guides you over to the veiled form, and you feel the weight of those stairs pressing into you from behind. This city loves its observers. Nothing counts unless it's seen, noted, and vouched for by a crowd. Living here means playing by strict codes, or you crumble under them. First code, eyes down, lips sealed. You lift the covering away, and there it stands, a sculpted wooden idol, fashioned in the likeness of some ancient power tied to growth and beginnings. Its name is whispered only in these circles: Priapus, guardian of new life and first encounters. The details are stark, leaving no room for misunderstanding about what it's meant for. Eleanor starts to explain in a low voice what you have to do, her words making your skin crawl as the reality sinks in. This figure, Priapus, was revered in old texts, mentioned in passing by scholars who skirted around the edges with unease. Even later writers, as faiths shifted, looked back on it with revulsion, describing how young wives had to make a physical gesture of submission to it before anything else could proceed. Your body goes rigid, the room hanging in expectation. Eleanor bends near, her breath warm against your ear. "You need to seek its favor," she murmurs. "Present yourself as the old ways require." Your insides twist, and suddenly your mother's caution clicks into place like a lock turning. This isn't just a symbol, it's the start of proving yourself, a tangible step in a chain of inspections. If you've stuck with me this far, maybe think about showing some support so we can keep uncovering these forgotten layers. Back to the scene, though. The onlookers draw nearer. Victor intones a ritual chant under his breath. Reginald readies his things. You're caught there, pinned between age, old customs, and this unyielding effigy, realizing with a sharp pang that you're not the star of some celebration. You're the subject under review. Eleanor positions herself at your back, maneuvering you with hands that feel impersonal, like shifting a chair into place. No space for solitude, no soft touches, just directives and scrutiny. They label this holy, but it strikes you as bureaucracy dressed in divine trappings. The unvarnished fact is, every part of this evening boils down to men needing assurances. Assurances you're pure, that you'll submit, that any offspring will trace back to Theodore, without doubt. You're not an equal in this bond, you're the Exhibit A. Eleanor's voice carries on, steady and detached, as if she's recited this script to countless others, without it touching her. The group edges in, not offering aid but bearing witness. Your legs feel unsteady, heat floods your cheeks. Still, you follow through because the alternative isn't worth contemplating. Second code, defiance brings consequences, and the system never turns the blade on itself. Once it's done, Lydia and the others hurry over. Clara holds out a metal dish. Beatrice tips fragrant liquid to cleanse you, as though wiping the slate clean. Chills rack you, but they avoid your gaze, their movements practiced from repetition. Tomorrow, it'll be someone else's turn. Victor wraps up his invocation, his tone flat, almost routine. Faith here isn't about solace. It's ticks on a ledger, offerings burned, duties fulfilled. You've just been logged in. Now Reginald steps up, his graying hair pulled neat, his kit at the ready. He doesn't bother with pleasantries. To him, you're a case file, not a person. He'd checked you earlier that day, before the public rights, affirming your untouched state for the records. That note's already etched somewhere official. This is the follow-up. Eleanor signals approval. The watchers reposition. You hold still, clamping down on any urge to speak, mind racing to blankness. Reginald moves with efficiency, his manner cool and professional, like assessing goods off a ship. You're no scared young woman in his eyes, just an asset to certify. He concludes, voices his findings aloud. Beatrice scratches it onto a soft wax board. Should Theodore ever drag this to the courts, these 7 will recount every moment. The scream builds in your chest, but you swallow it. Outbursts aren't permitted. Eleanor declares the initial customs wrapped up. In other words, the main event looms. They escort you to the sleeping quarters. The entry stays ajar on purpose. Lights from the oil burners glow strong, dancing figures on the walls like extra spectators. Theodore appears at last, his eyes skipping yours to land on Eleanor, as if seeking cues. It catches you off guard. You pictured him commanding assured. Instead, he seems on edge, like facing a test without studying. You perch on the mattress side, knuckles white around the fabric. Eleanor utters the age-old phrases she's delivered for years. The deities approve this match. Proceed as the laws dictate. The declaration lands heavy, binding. Then it dawns the prior steps were mere setup. The true confirmation awaits. The opening gapes wide, illumination unwavering. The pressure squeezes your chest, breath coming short. Theodore meets your look finally, not with warmth or want, but appraisal, scanning for flaws like a merchant with wares. This is matrimony in the empire's mold, feelings optional, validation mandatory. He settles next to you, the frame groaning under his weight. Eleanor makes a subtle noise, her prompt to continue. The group lingers just outside, ears tuned to every sound. That's by design. Completion of the union isn't hidden. It's a formal requirement, a mark on your record, with you as the page. Theodore attempts kindness. Perhaps, maybe nerves grip him too. Or he's aiming for mercy. His palm hesitates before landing on your arm. He keeps peeking toward the threshold, as though expecting correction. You're both ensnared, he to act, you to yield, they to confirm. Escape isn't an option. You recline since forward isn't possible. When it's over, tension lingers thick. The listeners note proofs, not sentiments. Theodore withdraws abruptly, his expression muddled. Regret or bewilderment, hard to say. The servants sweep in without delay, cloths, rinses, all brisk. But the evening drags on. Reginald re-enters, picking up where he left off, no trace of compassion. Why expect it? This is protocol to him. You tug at coverings for modesty. He motions them aside. You comply, skin prickling. His satchel opens, items rattling faintly. Your voice sticks. Theodore paces nearby, wringing his fingers. The check is swift, impersonal. He describes aloud for the record, Beatrice noting diligently. This isn't healing arts, it's stock taking. A wince escapes you. He halts, annoyed rather than concerned. At last, he retreats. Union confirmed. The group assents. Mission accomplished. The space clears, bedding refreshed. Flames tempered. The observers depart, the board secured. Theodore breathes out, tension easing from him. You stay put, gathering the cover close, piecing your thoughts back. He mutters about sleep, about dawn bringing relief. Silence is your reply. A cup of vintage arrives to dull the edges, soothing flesh but not spirit. Theodore exits, you ease down, lights fading, and the core truth settles. This wasn't closure. It was entry into a machine. The city demands you bear it. As the quiet deepens, your mind wanders back to the morning, before any of this unfolded. You woke in your childhood room, the familiar sense of olive oil and fresh bread wafting from the kitchens. Your mother hovered, her face lined with worry she tried to mask. She helped you into the gown, her touch lingering as if memorizing you. Amelia, she said softly, remember that strength comes from within. The world outside will test you, but you carry our blood. Endure with grace. Her words felt like a shield then, but now they echo hollow in this strange bed. You recall the procession through the streets, crowds lining the way, tossing petals and cheering. It seemed festive, almost magical, but underneath lurked the undercurrents, the whispers about alliances between families, the political gains Theodore's status brought your kin. Your father clasped your hand at the altar, his grip firm but his eyes distant, already calculating the benefits. Vows exchanged under Victor's watchful chant, rings slipped on, and just like that you were bound. But the real binding happens here, in the dim. You think of other women you've known, cousins, neighbors, who've gone through this. One, your friend from girlhood, shared snippets once, her voice trembling over wine at a gathering. It changes you, she confessed, makes you see the chains clearer. You didn't grasp it then, but now it's crystal. Rome builds its glory on such foundations, women as pillars holding up the edifice. Unseen and unthanked, to stretch this out, let's imagine a moment where Eleanor pulls you aside just before the statue ritual, her voice dropping to a confessional whisper. Child, I've overseen dozens like you, she says, eyes softened for a flicker. It's not about joy, it's survival. Do as told and tomorrow you'll wake a matron with power in your own right. Power, you echo. Confusion bubbling, she nods. Over time you'll manage the household, influence decisions. But tonight it's the price of entry. Her words offer a sliver of hope, but the act that follows shatters it temporarily. Add in a dialogue with Theodore as he enters the chamber. He pauses at the door, rubbing his neck awkwardly. "Amelia," he begins, his voice gruff but not unkind. "I know this isn't what stories promise. My first marriage was arranged too. It's the way of things." You nod mutely, unsure how to respond. He continues, "I won't make it harder than it must be. Let's get through this together." His attempt at reassurance falls flat, but it humanizes him slightly, showing he's a cog in the machine too, pressured by expectations of virility and air production. Expand on the physician's role. Reginald, with his precise movements, reminds you of the market inspectors back home, poking fruits for ripeness. As he prepares, he mutters to himself about the importance of accuracy. Divorces hinge on such details, he says to no one in particular. You catch snippets. Bloodlines must be pure, estates uncontested. It drives home how your body is a battleground for legacies. Insert a new scene after the initial verification with the statue. While the servants clean, Victor approaches with a small amulet. "Wear this for protection," he intones, placing it around your neck. "It's blessed by the temple." But his eyes betray boredom. It's wrote, another box checked. You finger the cool metal, wondering if any gods truly watch over nights like this. To make it longer, delve into Amelia's memories of education. As a girl, tutors taught you poetry, household management, but skimmed over marital duties. One elderly teacher, a freed slave, once hinted at the realities during a lesson on history. The old tales of Sabine women, abducted and claimed. "It's not so different now," she whispered when others weren't listening. "Learn to navigate, not resist." Those words resurface now, a lifeline in the storm. Add dialogues among the servants to add depth. As Lydia pours the water, she exchanges a glance with Clara. "Poor thing," Clara murmurs under her breath, too low for others. Lydia shushes her, "Hush, or we'll all pay." But their sympathy, fleeting as it is, reminds you you're not entirely alone in your vulnerability. Extend the consummation scene with internal monologue. As Theodore draws near, your thoughts race. Is this love? No, it's duty. Mothers bear it, grandmothers before them. You'll survive, emerge stronger. The act itself, awkward and brief, leaves you staring at the ceiling, counting cracks to dissociate. Post-event, insert a quiet moment where Theodore tries conversation. "Tell me about your family," he says, perhaps to fill the silence. You share haltingly about siblings, the villa gardens. He nods, sharing his own tales of military service under Domitian, battles that scarred him. It builds a fragile bridge, hinting at future companionship amid the transaction. But the night wears on with Reginald's return. His tools gleam in the lamplight, probes, cloths, all sterile. You endure, biting your lip as he confirms the deed. Verified, he announces, and the weight lifts slightly from the room. As dawn creeps in, you reflect on what lies ahead: managing servants, hosting dinners, bearing children, all under scrutiny. But tonight has forged you a harsh baptism. Expand further with historical parallels. Think of Lucretia from Legends, her tragic end after violation, proof how women's honor upholds society. Or Cornelia, mother of heroes, who navigated marriage's maze with wit. These stories, told in your youth, now feel personal. Add a new scene before bed. Eleanor returns with advice. Watch your words around him at first, she counsels. Men like control, but earn trust, and you'll gain leeway. Her own story slips out. "I was like you once, terrified. Now I guide others." It passes. Dialogue with your inner self. Why me? But then, why any woman? The empire runs on this: expansion through families, stability through proofs. To pad meaningfully, describe sensations: the rough weave of sheets, metallic tang of fear, distant city noises, chariots, vendors closing up. Insert flashbacks: your betrothal announcement, father's pride, mother's hidden sorrow, friend's envy, unaware of truths. New example: recall a neighbor's divorce, whispers of failed verifications leading to shame. It underscores stakes. Theodore's nervousness, perhaps his age brings doubts. Society demands performance. Servants' backstories imagined Lydia. From provinces, sold young, her empathy stems from shared pain. Victor's prayer extended invoking Jupiter, Juno, gods of unions, but ironic in this mechanical rite. Physicians bag herbs, blades, tools for health. But here for law. Post-verification, group disperses with murmurs well done, as if a play concluded. Alone finally you weep silently, then steel yourself. Tomorrow a new role. But extend with morning scene light filters in. Theodore returns with breakfast. We start fresh, he says. You nod, beginning the long adaptation. Add emotional layers, anger at system, resignation. Sparks of defiance buried deep. Conversational tone, imagine telling this to a sister. Raw, honest. More dialogues. Theodore apologizes vaguely. Customs are brutal. You reply, for women especially. He concedes, opening vulnerability. New ritual addition, burning incense post-act. Victor leading chant for fertility. Examples from lore. Vestal virgins, purity contrasts. Brides required proof. Personal growth. Archy, from terror to quiet resolve. To reach length, repeat patterns with variations. More reflections. Extended descriptions. Theodore shares war stories. Fought in Dacia. Saw comrades fall. Life's fragility. You counter with childhood tales. Playing in fields. Dreaming of adventures now quashed. Bonding tentatively. Eleanor checks in. Rest now. You've done your part. Servants tidy. Whispering encouragement. Mind wanders to future children. Will you warn daughters? Historical context. Domitian's paranoia affects all, even private lives. New scene. Dream sequence. Freedom, then awakening to reality. Emotional peak, realizing marriage as alliance, not cage entirely. Conversations build. Theodore on ambitions. Rising in Senate, your role key. You voice fears. Will I matter? He assures in time, yes, but tone stays somber, true to original.